I think one of the most difficult things for family members when they have an alcoholic in their family is when they come to the conclusion that their loved one no longer has a rational mindset. They're no longer making rational decisions. They're drinking and driving. They're getting into fights. They're getting arrested. They're not coming home for days at a time. They're hanging out with people they may should probably shouldn't be hanging out with. And they may find themselves in the emergency room or the hospital, and they're not making good decisions, and they're not taking ownership of that. So the drama and the craziness tends to explode on everybody's life. It just decimates the family. I can remember certainly one incident with my wife that really I came to the conclusion that I was no longer dealing with a rational mind. So listen to this. And I think one of the most outlandish things that I had to deal with just as a spouse was when my wife, well, she got arrested for her third DUI, and they actually put her in jail finally. She ended up getting 65 days. And it was a very busy time for me. It was an insurance agent. It was like the busiest time of the year. So I was only able to go see her. She was almost 2 hours away. See her a couple times during that 65 days. So no alcohol for 65 days. And for her first day out after I picked her up, she was just very angry that I had not visited her enough. As a result, she simply disappeared. She took her car, and I didn't see her for almost 2 days, which was just really out of character for what was normally going on. And the scary part, she wasn't answering her cell phone. I mean, after a day or two, nobody had seen her. I called a lot of her friends. Nobody knew where she was. Nobody had heard from her. I mean, I was getting a little bit worried, more than usual, because sometimes she'd check into a hotel and just disappear, but this was just insane. And so I decided to drove around to some of the places she bought alcohol, CVS, there's a grocery store. And eventually, I found her in front of one of the grocery stores where they had like a little bistro tables where you could sit out and eat sandwiches and things. And she was sitting at this table by herself, and she was passed out at the table. And even from the car, I could notice that there was an empty bottle of wine, and there was two wine bottles on the ground in front of her, in front of a grocery store. And it was just so crazy. I mean, it was just so irrational, and it just made no sense. So eventually, I parked my car, walked up to her, and she wasn't even cognizant. She was completely inebriated in front of a store, and I've been looking for her for 2 days. It was just things like that. Eventually, I got her into the car. In fact, some bystanders helped me. I threw away all the wine and got her into the car, got her home. And that was just the beginning of a long process of just continued madness. And then what continued on with the day, later that day, she actually sobered up. I mean, I found her in the morning, and around 5 or 6 o'clock that night, she disappeared again for another couple days. And eventually, the police found her in a park in our town. Luckily, it's a safe town. She was passed out in the middle of a park, which was just crazy. And they brought her to the emergency room, and I went there, and I could barely recognize her. I mean, she had been intoxicated for this point almost for 3 or 4 days straight. She had dirt all over her face. She looked like a homeless person. And just the irrationality of it and the insanity of it, it was very difficult. She was not making sense. She was talking about horses talking to her and just crazy stuff. And if this type of thing resonates with you, if you've been through that as a family member, well, this might make more sense. And without making the story too long, eventually we got her into a rehab shortly after that. But this is the point where I realized that she had serious mental issues. And it was about 2 years before she passed away. So again, if these types of stories resonate with you, if you can relate to them in your family, you have a family member, click on the link above. I've helped thousands of alcoholics. Just as importantly, I've helped their families. So schedule a breakthrough call. Again, please like, share, and comment. I also have a Facebook group called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. It's growing by the day. And again, thanks for listening.